I would like to again thank you all for joining us. Our session today is on quality assurance, and I'd like to hand it over to our speakers today, our in-house staff. We have Missy Raver and Joe Neiman. Let them introduce themselves. So guys, take it away.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Share my screen. Okay, my name is Missy Raver. I'm the VP of Quality here at Yakima Chief Hops. I have been in the hop industry, this will be my 21st hop harvest, so I guess I'm old enough to drink beer now. I oversee all things quality, lab, quality assurance, production quality, so we're going to share with you today. Joe's going to go over our certificates and programs, and then I'm going to talk about the lab and information we give back to growers. Yeah.
Hi. Okay. Yeah, I've been with Yakima Chief Hops for about, this will be my 6th harvest now coming on, and it's been a wonderful adventure. And so I just kind of wanted to give you a little overview of what I do here for Yakima Chief. Go ahead and
sorry, technical difficulty.
That's okay. This happens to the best of us.
Okay.
You want me to take over, Missy?
Well, let me see. There we go. Can you see that?
I can see
Yep.
it.
Yep,
Okay.
we're good to go.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's no problem. And so I actually start at the farm, okay, and I am responsible for the facility assessments for Yakima Chief. And over the last 5 years or so, we've had some really good results. And I just pull up the next graph, and you can see where we started out back in 2015. And this is where we started out. And then over time, with the 3 levels that we have a green level, a yellow level, and also a red level. And overall, we've gained a lot of good success over the 5 years that we've been doing this. You can see there by the total overall by the year where we started at the below in the 2015, we almost had as many red level growers as we had green level growers. But then over time, we were working with our growers, and you can see the yellow and the red diminishing over time. And now I can say that the majority of them are all green level growers or even global gap growers. And then this is just an example of one of the ranches that we have. As you can see, it was at a red level at the beginning of the assessment period. And then working with this ranch over time, they were able to embody the food safety programs and were able to implement over time the requirements that we have for the Green Chief program. And I can actually say today they are a green level grower for us. And then going into our certifications for here at home at YCH, we actually have the ISO systems implemented. Those ISO systems are 9001 2015, as well as the 14001 2015 environmental program. And actually they work off of the Plan, Do, Check, Act system. And that is a complete circle. So once you start, you just keep on going, and then you create a plan, you do the work, you check your plan, you act and improve your plan, and then you start right on over back into starting your plan again. Along with that, we are GMP compliant, and as you can tell with the with the COVID, we had a head start because part of the GMP requirements, we were a little ahead of the COVID-19 requirements coming into the pandemic, and so overall, we had a really easy time of accepting everything for the things that we needed to do to get through this. And one of the programs we have here at YCH is our organic program. All the facilities and products are certified, all the warehouses are. Our pelleting production facilities are also all certified for organics. Along with that, we have quality in the final package. We have our ISO 9001, which is our quality management system, and it's integrated into our entire process for the bale receipts to the final product. We have standard operating procedures that guide our daily work with all our employees, and along with that, they have what they call a continuing education record that keeps them aware of what standard operating procedures they need for their particular position. We also have training procedures that are along with the system, and then process controls and specifications are implemented. And you can see we have a standard sampling procedure along with monitoring pelleting temperature density within our facilities, and our warehouse temperature monitoring system is implemented in our warehouses. Along with that, we have a corrective action process, which we call process improvements, which are identified and implemented as we move forward within our Plan, Do, Check, Act system.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to talk about quality control now. So our laboratory is located at our Sunnyside West location in Sunnyside, Washington. It has been there since I started 21 years ago. We follow our standard American Society of Brewing Chemists and European Brewing Congress methods. All of those are in our standard operating procedures, which guide our daily work. We do the alpha, beta, and HSI by UV spectro. That's our most common method that we use. And then we have an HPLC where we do alpha, beta, cohumulone, and colubulone. We use this a lot for extract. And then MEVAC, we do pellets and extract. It's a titration method. And then our total oils, so we boil the hops for 4 hours, collect the oil, and then we run it on our 2 GCs that we have, one of the 2. So our quality really starts at the farm. We have our Yakima Chief Ranch's Footprints program, where they go out and they go through, an army of interns go through the farms every spring, summer, checking for male plants, any off types. All of that is logged, and that information is given back to the grower. We have our standard picking dates for our YCR varieties. And then they go through and they take samples and harvest based off of data. So dry matter analysis, alpha, beta, HSI, oil analysis, all help guide the growers so they know when to harvest, so those hops are at the best maturity. They also have standard drying operations, standard drying temperatures, how deep the kiln can be, and all of the growers have really reinvested at the farm level. At receiving, every bale that comes in gets checked. It actually gets checked twice for moisture on the top and the bottom. We have strict moisture and temperature specifications, so growers, bales that don't meet any of those specifications are returned back to the grower, and then the grower can store those until the moisture goes down, or we determine what to do with those bales. Aroma and cone checks are also very important in the yard. They go through and they make a hole in the bale, they pull out some cones, check for shatter, check for aroma. That's a very important check out in the yard as well. And then they take lab samples, and they come into the lab, and this is a picture of one of our hop grinders. We grind up the hops into a powder, and then we can analyze it. We get the UV analysis done within 24 hours and a moisture check as well to check to make sure our moisture meters in the yard are reading correctly. So we do a sample, every one bale out of 10 gets a sample. It's put into a composite bag, delivered to the lab, and we analyze it. And then each truckload is bagged. So if a grower brings in 3 truckloads, we do 3 samples for that lot, and then average that for a final analysis. That is our UV spectral. And then we make a composite sample. So each truckload goes into a bag, and the composite gets a total oil, and then we put it on the GC to check the oil components. And then a big part of quality at receiving is the documentation that we have to collect. So every bale lot that comes in has to be inspected by USDA before we can sell it. So they check for the leaf stem and seed percentage by weight. Our contracts have strict requirements on those that the growers have to meet. We also collect all the spray records and harvest data sheets. So our IT department built a custom grower portal. So growers can go in, they can check on their deliveries, they can see what they've delivered, how many pounds they've delivered, where they're at on the contracts, and then they can enter all their spray records and harvest data sheets. So this is what the harvest data sheet looks like. They enter the variety, they enter their lot number, which field it came from, harvest dates, and then how it was dried in the kiln. And then that field ties back to the spray record that they've entered. So we have complete traceability from the lot we've received to the field that the grower grew that on, and then every single spray record. So that allows us to make sure that our products can be shipped to countries all over the world. In the spring, we give growers our spray guidelines that tell them which chemicals they shouldn't use if we want those hops to go to EU or Japan or Korea or Taiwan. So that's a really important communication back to the growers. They follow those guidelines, and then they deliver the hops, and then we can ship all over the world. On the information side, so all of our quality information that we collect from the lab and from our internal sensory program goes back to the growers. This is another screenshot of what the grower portal looks like on the lot side. So it has a lot number, it has a harvest date, how many fields are in those lots, the field numbers, the YCH feedback from our internal sensory program, and then what the breweries had to say if those cores made it to the brewery on a selection panel. So this particular lot got shown to 3 different brewers. It was selected by 2 of them, and then the grower can see all of the feedback from the brewers. And this is going on during harvest. So this isn't after harvest. This is as soon as those cores are taken and released from QC to make available for selection. Those brewers are looking at them, they're giving feedback, and the grower can see it instantaneously. All of our lab results are available to the grower within 24 hours of delivery. And then they can go in and they can see how they compare to other growers. So on the left is what that grower's lot looked like. In the middle is all YCH growers. And then on the right is what's typical for a Chinook. So the grower can go in and see right where they're at in line with where they want to be for a certain variety. And then post-harvest, we provide the growers with a lot of information on harvest windows, what we're seeing for each state, for every variety, what harvest trend looks like per grower. So they'll get a report like this one on the screen that shows them the alpha range for a certain variety, how they have had their alpha range develop over the last few years. And then they get a final score based off of all their sensory data, their analytics, and then Joe's food facility assessment scores. And this is on the screen here is our Green Chief score yearly trend. So for the past 2 years, All those little dots are growers and their overall score on the lots that they delivered to Yakima Chief. And you can see how the quality has increased just from 2018 to 2019 and how closely grouped all the growers are. They have really reinvested in their farm and are completely committed to delivering quality hops to Yakima Chief. And then in the final package, so every product that we produce gets a check that goes through the lab. We have standard sampling plans for all products, from leaf repack all the way to advanced products being made from extract. Everything gets a sample, everything goes through QC, gets analyzed. We analyze everything per our customer requirements, so we know when a lot is produced, where it's going to go, what the customer needs on that certificate of analysis, and then we can analyze accordingly. Either UV spectro, by MEBAC, HPLC, and we do this at each step. So when we start off after harvest, we start time of processing analysis. So we take those bales, we run them through the plant, and prior to culleting, we'll recheck those bales, make sure the alpha is still where we want it to be, the HSI still looks good, and then we test the final product. And then everything that we analyze for a lot gets put into our system, and then it's available right on our website. You just go to the lot lookup, you type in the lot number, and you can see the alpha, the beta, the HSI, the alpha by HPLC, the MEBAC alpha, the oil, and then all the components. And then up next for the lab, we actually are just completing an expansion. So we doubled the size of the current footprint of the lab. On the left is just when they got started with the framing. Our current lab, if you've ever been to Yakima Chief, is actually in an old dry storage part of one of our warehouses. So we built the original one 15 years ago when my very first daughter was born, and she is now driving a car. So we thought it was time to double the size of the lab, since we've doubled the size of our company since then. So we're really excited. We're just getting finished up, starting to move equipment into the new area. This will give us a lot more room to process our samples and be really efficient and have really good flow. So we're really excited for that. So we're hoping next year you all can come and visit us in person and see it firsthand. And that is all I have.
So it looks like, Missy, we have some questions for you guys, and I'll let you guys decide who can answer these questions. First off, we've got from Henry, has the smoke affected the aroma of the hops that have not been picked yet?
We have not. Yeah, we have not noticed any adverse sensory effects yet from the smoke. It's something we're definitely keeping a close eye on.
Great, thank you. Another question, how do quality standards differ between countries? Like, which country is the most strict?
Oh, well, they vary from country to country, so it's hard to say which country is most strict. Everybody has different requirements. That's why we have to have really good systems so we can make sure we meet all those requirements. I think most strict on if you just want to talk pesticide quality-wise, probably Asia is the most strict when it comes to residues.
Okay, that kind of goes along with a question that was emailed to us earlier, which I just put in the chat box. What issues or struggles are there for international shipment of hops due to pesticides? So is there issues with us shipping hops to different brewers around the world?
Yeah, so it is a challenge. More and more countries have maximum residue limits now in their regulations than they used to. And we have to keep a very close eye on that and make sure everything can meet those regulations. That's why it's really important in the spring we communicate all that to the growers to make sure we can. For example, we tell certain growers, or we request from certain growers, that they grow so many pounds by this Taiwan standard to make sure we can ship to that country, or Korea standard, or Japan standard. It takes a lot of work and it's a lot of logistics to handle it that way, but we want to make sure we can ship our hops to all the different countries.
Great, thank you. So here's a question. How many tests on average do you run a year, especially maybe like during the harvest time? Or do you
During the
know?
harvest, so we are, about just starting our 3rd week of harvest. We're already up to around 3,000 UV spectros, to give you an idea. I think in a whole year we do close to 30,000 just on the UV spectra.
Crazy. Okay. Here's a question from Joey. How was it determined that 1 out of every 10 bales get sampled?
That is actually based off of the American Society of Brewing Chemists sampling procedure. And it's standard throughout the industry. Every hop lab you'll go into has the same hop grinder. They sample the hops the same way, 1 out of every 10 bales. Analyze it the same way. We're all very standardized here in the Valley.
All right. And the last question so far that we've got is, how often do you send hops back to the farm because of quality issues?
Well, it depends on the year, on the day, on the week. But I would say at least we evaluate every single truckload that's delivered. There's never a week we don't go without sending some hops back because they're too wet. We just cannot take the risk of having wet hops in our warehouse or too dry hops. There's too much of a safety hazard, a fire hazard. If the bales are even too soft, we can't stack them. So that becomes a safety hazard to our employees. And we take all of these very seriously, and so do our growers. They appreciate our high standards that we hold them up to. And they work with us to make sure we can get those hops back in. We'll bring them back in at the end of harvest so we can get them processed right away if there is a serious issue. But all our growers are very understanding of our standards.
Great. Well, I don't see any other questions at the moment. Any parting thoughts?
No. Thank you all for joining us.
Yes. And have a wonderful harvest out there.
Great. Well, again, I just wanted to, before I let everybody go, I just wanted to, again, extend a huge thank you to both of you for speaking today. I know taking time out of your, busy day, if you're up to 3,000, I'm sure that's going to grow exponentially over the next few weeks as harvest continues. So thank you again, both of you. And then just for everyone out there in virtual land, wherever you are in the world, just a reminder that we did record this session. It will be posted here within the hour on virtualharvest.com and uploaded to the Whova app. But other than that, again, if you have questions, if you're watching this video later, feel free to please email brewschool@yakimachief.com and we'll get you answers to your questions or any sessions or anything just even about Yakima Chief in general. Otherwise, again, thank you guys for joining us today on this virtual harvest session for week 3, and we hope to see you on the next one. So thank you guys so much. Have a great day.